I scoured the St. Louis scene for long enough now that being in another city feels like being in an alien landscape. Tulsa is or feels like a little big city. It's easy to get around here. The nightlife is happening, there's an art scene, and the kind of eclectic places that makes a city hip. There's no shortage of places to eat or grab a drink. All of them new to me. I don't start to darken any of their doors. I'm looking for something more familiar. Comfort food, if you will. Something to make me feel like I'm back in St. Louis. On Sydney Street, having a lobster roll and quietly wondering to myself, what does a James Beard Award look like? As a chef, I need to stay curious in order to evolve. For me, that means looking beyond a good meal to learn more about who made it and what inspires them to cook.
La comida es amor.
Every great city has great food. I'm going on a journey around the world, right here in St. Louis. I'm on a quest to find passionate chefs who cooks from the heart.
It's exciting. And I think it's the best.
To prove that food is love.
And it's gonna be delicious.
Food is love. Love your food. Growing up in a Hispanic family in New Mexico, working in his grandparents' restaurant, Kevin Nashan never imagined himself where he is today. One of only 2 St. Louis chefs to win the James Beard Best Chef Midwest Award. An owner of Sydney Street Cafe and Peacemaker Lobster, both in St. Louis. Buzzing tables as a teen, it's unlikely that he had any clue that one day his food and accolades would come to be considered a factor in the transformation of St. Louis into a recognized culinary scene. But who is Kevin Nashan? How did all this get started? To find out, I'm meeting Kevin at his flagship restaurant, Sydney Street Cafe. We're here to meet Kevin Nashan. He's an award-winning chef, James Beard award-winning chef, so that says a lot. How did you end up at St. Louis, of all places?
Wrong turn in Albuquerque.
Right, yeah.
Long story short, I went to university here. It was one of the few universities I got into was St. Louis University, and coming from New Mexico, my parents knew I had an aunt and uncle out here, and they thought it was a good Jesuit school that would kind of keep me in line, and off I went. Our family had a restaurant for 27 years, so I wanted to kind of segue out of that. At least I thought I did. And then I went to SLU and thought I was going to go to law school, and did the 5-year plan, only to really figure out my last year that I really wanted to kind of maybe open up our own restaurants. My brother and I, because we kind of go in pairs. He was at SLU with me too. We were like, hey, listen, let's try to open up our own spot. And we figured one of us had to know about food, so I drew the short straw, so to speak, at the time, and got into the CIA and used that as grad school, and then just literally fell in love with it. I mean, it's one of those things in life. It's kind of like when you meet somebody and you just know. It was an instant click, and I loved it. And it was weird because growing up in the industry and being around just amazing opportunity and food and all that, I mostly just did, either dishwashing or front of the house. I ate, I was a consumer, but I never really cooked. I hung out a little bit. My mom, she's Hispanic, so we make empanadas during the holidays, and do stuff like that. But it wasn't I didn't cook. Help cook meals and stuff. And took the trash out in a bunch of places. I lived in France, I lived in Spain, I lived in Chicago, New Orleans, New York, and then found my way to St. Louis because about a girl.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's where all the good stories always start, right?
Mm-hmm. St. Louis is such a good food city. I mean, you would have to spend at least 3 or 4 days here to hit all the little pockets. Each pocket's different, but that's why I love this town. It's great, and everyone's kind of. I love it that everyone's different too.
Yeah.
Not everyone's mimicking each other, and everyone's kind of beating their own path, and that's how it should be. That's called a good food city. The one cool thing that I love with cooking, and I tell everyone that comes and works with us, that is that you get paid twice. If you really sit and pay attention, you get a paycheck, and then you get paid because the skill that you're learning can never be taken away from you. And that's why, if you know how to like roast a duck perfectly, you'll never forget that. And how you make a pizza dough and how you make, whatever it is, making a vinaigrette, no one can ever take that away from you. And it is a skill set you can take wherever. You can go live in Spain, you can go live anywhere and take that with you. You don't even need to have a conversation. You can just start cooking. Let's go out there, I'll show you the garden.
So far, Kevin Nashan seems like a nice guy.
All the garnishes and stuff for certain dishes are all out here.
I never get tired of this. Impromptu garden strolls in an adjacent parking lot hold for me all the wonders of a Christmas morning.
Taste it, tell me what you think it is. Love cooking with this too. Horseradish.
What's that growing over there? How about this?
And this tastes exactly like an oyster. Eat the whole thing.
Are those ramps? You can do that in the city?
Yeah, it's very deceiving when you park it here because you would never know all this exists. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on.
How do you know that the whole neighborhood is not helping themselves to?
Well, that's what they're here for too.
Yeah.
It's for the neighborhood too. We love to share.
Ah, it's so good. When the kitchen is positioned this close to a garden, usually means you can find something good and fresh on the menu.
This really good to cook with. You take a beautiful lou de mer, wrap it and steam it.
And horseradish grows well here in the Midwest.
It does, in Illinois too, right?
All of this walking around and food talk has me looking forward to lunch. And lucky for me, Kevin's restaurant Peacemaker's Lobster and Crab is just down the street. Prior to Peacemaker, anyone with a basic understanding of restaurant logistics would have laughed at a high-volume seafood concept done this well in St. Louis. But Kevin Nashan is killing it. The kitchen is getting slammed, so Kevin steps in to help.
My parents really gave us, the biggest thing that they gave us was a work ethic. Yeah. And to really show hey, listen, no matter what you do, you really, truly just gotta weather the storms. There's gonna be so many storms. Just weather them and good will happen.
He is such a nice guy.
This is what I do best when I visit all these restaurants is eat.
Next, I'm going to Kevin's home to make pizzas in his backyard and meet his wife, Mina. I couldn't be more excited. As you might expect from an award-winning chef, there's an oven in his backyard, and it's beautiful. Kevin has his mise en place ready, and the oven is heating up. By the looks of the spread, these pizzas are gonna be good.
You probably don't have any problem getting people over when you cook here in the backyard.
I don't know. Who knows?
Who wouldn't want to come to Kevin Nashan's backyard with all this stuff? So is there a pizza restaurant in the future?
Negative.
Negative?
Back of the house, that's it. It's something that's therapeutic, and I don't know, just really I love making them. And a lot of my buddies have restaurants that are geared towards pizza, and I've always been inspired by it, but more so it's fun. It was something that I was like, if anything I can do in my backyard, I wanted to do this because my kids are engaged. They can do it with me, and it's fun. It's something they always love to eat, and then it's so versatile. I can cook porchetta. I can do ribs. I can do so many things. Beautiful bread. Kind of clean the floor of it, and I like to use a little guy like this. It's good for air circulation. It really kind of gets the heat up really quickly.
It seems like there might be a learning curve to this, but I'm taking notes to Kevin's approach.
Check out these. You want to? So these are beautiful little neck clams.
And you know how masculine that looks too when you shoot in there with that thing?
Yeah, it does. It's
To make matters warmer, the temperature outside today is over 100 degrees. Ironically, the saving grace is that the oven is nearly 750 degrees, and our pizzas are done in mere minutes.
Ours is kind of a little thinner, and we'll just kind of dock it with a little fork. But this is good for the boys. Just a simple pepperoni pizza.
Clam pizza?
We're gonna do a clam, chorizo, and a chimichurri.
So what all do we have here?
So this is basically your fermented chimichurri. Basically, took all the ingredients that I would do in a normal chimichurri, you know, herbs, parsley, that kind of thing, and then just kind of ferment them. And then we do fresh, and we kind of mix the two together with like shallots and garlic and oil and some spices, you know. I like to throw a little cumin in my chimichurri.
So did you teach yourself to do all this?
Taught myself how to do it. Yeah.
I mean, I guess one of these ovens,
I'm not great at it. So
they're probably finicky. You got to learn where the hot spots are and everything.
Absolutely. Kind of just get this.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, it's fun. It's different, right?
Yeah.
Now we get to do the fun part too, is just kind of do the finishing touches on this guy. And so we have these beautiful clams that you got to taste earlier, cooked with some garlic and some clam juice, kind of really brothy.
Kevin has a great mind for flavor combinations and thinking outside of the box, or pizza box in this case. But his background in fine dining is something I can still see shine through, even in the pizza. He just has a mind for it. Chimichurri and clams, it's like I always say, the simple things. But Kevin swears he has no future plans to open a pizzeria.
So.
Oh wow. I'm getting hungry.
Give her plates? Yeah, we'll give you a plate right there.
It's the first time I've ever had clams on a pizza. I love the clams, I love the sausage. And I love all the love there's in this pizza.
Chewy! No, come back here, hon. The what?
Kevin's wife and business partner, Mina Nashan, just arrived. And I can't wait to try to get some dirt on Kevin. I mean, he's such a nice, talented guy, but there has to be something she can tell me. He must be hiding something. When's the last time he asked for a raise?
Kevin, I'm sure Kevin has told you, he literally
I haven't gotten a paycheck since when? 21 years?
Yeah.
22 years?
Kevin, he loves books, to collect books and cookbooks. And we were living in New Orleans for a year together, engaged, and I came home for something. And when I got back, rent was due. And like, you know, we gotta pay rent. And he said, "Oh, I just bought a bunch of cookbooks."
I spent my whole
from
paycheck.
This place in New York that he loved called Kitchen Arts and Letters, and like, well, that was rent. You know, like we have to pay rent. So.
Aha! I have it figured out now. For the sound of things, I think Kevin may have a compulsive cookbook buying habit. This will require more investigations, but I think I'm onto something, and it could get dark. But at any rate, the pizza is delicious and the company can't get any better. Mina and Kevin is a picture of a symbiotic restaurant marriage. They have grown together along with their business and share the same vision. That's what makes it work, and you can see it in them. They were so gracious to welcome me into their home. I'll never forget this. Pizza making in Kevin Nashan's backyard. So that's it, right? We've been to Peacemakers and Sydney Street, spent time here in Kevin's home. That must be the end of the story. But it's not. When I set out to get to know Kevin Nashan, I didn't expect that I would end up here, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa is not unlike St. Louis. Parts of it has the same feel. They both have a picturesque skyline, and they both have one of these, Peacemaker. I sort of feel like I'm at a parallel universe, where everything is the same, but slightly different. Case in point, here's Kevin Nashan, who's about to show me how to shuck oysters. Neat.
Well, I think that a lot of people are very insecure about oysters and how to really do it correctly. So why don't you show me?
Well, I don't know if I can do it correctly.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Sure, give it an old college try. But what I like to do is I like to look. I always kind of put this down there, put this as pressure.
Yep.
I kind of come in. You don't need a bunch of. Everyone wants to do like a crazy kind of strength.
Yeah.
But all you want to do is just
kind of get under that lip, kind of put your readers on, make sure you're not, you're able to see, and get in the back end and see that that move right here, and then I just kind of turn it, and then that's it. It's just technique, and boom, I'm in, boom. I kind of clean that guy up here. Yep. I loosen it up, and now I'm looking for a lot of like juice, like really salinity. But like, look at that. We're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yep. Why don't you taste that?
I mean, I couldn't have done it any better myself. You are truly an expert.
Well, I'm not an expert. I'm just the guy.
A lot of salt water in there.
There you go. A little salt water in.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, kind of cleaning these guys up. I'm gonna have you do this one, and you can kind of use. Then there you go. And I always like to have two, so I have a one. Yep, exactly. There you go. Just pop that back in. There you go. Look, made you a oyster shucker.
The fare here at Peacemakers in Tulsa is pretty much copy-paste of that in St. Louis. But entering the kitchen here is like entering a time portal.
So now we're going to a different restaurant?
Yep. This is Peacemaker, and that is this is La Tutulia.
A portal back to Kevin's childhood in New Mexico, working in his grandparents' restaurant, La Tutulia. That's right. Connected by a common kitchen, Kevin has both a Peacemaker and another restaurant inspired by his grandparents. Serving northern Mexican cuisine, La Tutulia is a complete departure for what Kevin has done in his other restaurants. But on a personal level, it's closer to where he started out. Taking the time to do things the best way, like prepping and milling corn in-house for their own tortillas.
Bertha, ¿cómo está?
Bien.
And Bertha's the backbone. She is the jefe of the whole thing.
Okay. How are you doing?
She does wonderful.
Good, thank you.
So right now she's rinsing the corn and just kind of getting it ready.
Yeah.
It's nice and just really clean.
Yeah.
The nixtamalization has done its job. You can smell it's like really nutty.
That's what makes all the difference. And they have this down to a science. But running two restaurants in another state takes more than a dream and good food. Kevin had to build a team that he could trust to pull it off. And in today's world, staffing is the hardest part. But somehow, Kevin made it happen.
Ryan's our chef.
Hi.
Ryan's the chef at both spots, at Peacemaker and La Tutulia. He is definitely the jefe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glad to have you all today.
Yeah, it's just good to have a ninja. He's a ninja. Yeah. It's a treat.
Every kitchen needs a ninja.
Yeah.
It almost feels like we're in the way, right?
Yeah, no, you are. We are.
Yeah.
We're in the way.
Yeah.
It's good.
The dual kitchen setup could be a recipe for disaster, but here it's running like a well-oiled machine.
This is what we all love, the craziness of a kitchen. We are right in the middle of this restaurant, Kevin Nashan's restaurant, and this is what I live for. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in here.
To hear Kevin talk about La Tutulia is to hear tales about the old city of gold. But it's not a myth. Kevin has brought new life to something his grandparents created, and the food here is exceptional. At the end of a long day, I'm glad I came to Tulsa to experience this myself. It has painted a far more personal side of Kevin's story for me. He's more than just a James Beard Award winner. He's more complex than just Sydney Street.
You gotta get some of that egg though, yeah.
Going into the kitchen from one restaurant to the other in Tulsa, I couldn't help to see a parallel of Kevin working between two cities, going into the kitchen in one and coming out in another. But in doing this, he has brought it full circle. The restaurant he started in is the same one where he will finish, so to speak. It's poetic. And I don't think there is a better tour guide to show you around Tulsa.
I think you find that in Tulsa. That's like a lot of the admiration I have for this town is there's a lot of people that do a lot of really good things with the fortunate circumstances they're in, and it's I think that's what life's about.
It seems impossible to tell a story about Kevin Nashan without mentioning the James Beard Award in 2017 and how that cemented his place as a culinary titan of the Midwest. A champion who injected a huge dose of pride into the St. Louis food world. While all that is true, that isn't what makes Kevin a champion chef. It was how he treated those around him, those who works with him. When things got busy in the restaurant, he jumped in besides them. He really is a great guy. Genuine, thoughtful, creative. I see now how opening La Tortulia was a full circle moment for Kevin. A restaurant built on sentiment, nostalgia, and the same longing for the food of your childhood that we all have. Only Kevin recreated it and is sharing it with the rest of the world. It's personal and beautiful. But I'm still left wondering, what does a James Beard Award look like?
Yeah.
And initially in Tulsa, we didn't know for sure that that's where it was going to be. I don't think. I mean, I think
We didn't know
always
where it
knew
was going to be. We didn't know if it was going to happen, like the La Tortulia.
But there were so many people in that town that when you think about where, it is very south. It's very southern, but it's very southwest.
Yeah.
With all the Native American, and people go, travel to New Mexico and to Santa Fe, and immediately when we were there and people learned that he was from Santa Fe, and
they knew folks' restaurant.
They knew his grandparents' restaurant, and people would come into the restaurant just to say that they had met his grandparents and their stories of the restaurant. And it was just this immediate, thing where it's like, well, here it just landed.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
Well, hopefully, yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
As Kevin pours us a glass of champagne in his home library, I look around the room and begin to realize this is confirmation. Not only was I right about his cookbook obsession, but it may be even worse than I imagined. I mean, look at him. This is clearly the face of a man who has secrets. All jokes aside, the library of cookbooks here is very impressive. Many are rare and sought after. And Kevin's fascination with cookbooks is just another reflection of his passion for food.
I could probably spend a couple of days in here reading.
But among this vast library, none are more highly esteemed by Kevin than this. A handful of old paper menu, recipes, and cookbooks that belongs to his grandparents.
So these are all the books, too, that I used for when I studying for La Tortulia and just studying the history on it. And these books you can't find. They're so out of print. And
it all seems so clear now. La Tortulia was always meant to happen. As for the award, it's somewhere on a shelf hidden underneath a sea of cookbooks. Surely a prestigious award like that is deserving on a prominent spot on a mantle. But for Kevin, that's not the point.
Awards are interesting. Yes, super flattered and grateful. But there's so many great people out there, so many great restaurants in this town, and it's like, why us? And I'm very grateful for it. I think it's awesome. I love this town. What defines you is the day in, day out of customers and guests coming back. We're on our 18th year at Sydney Street. You're fortunate enough to get it, but it's the team that does that. And it's multiple teams. It's not just one team, it's just multiple teams. It's kind of like doing anything excellent in life. It's not what people see right then and there. It's the amounts of time way before, that no one else saw. I always think of doing a restaurant as like a marathon, No one sees all the hard work that goes on before it, but they sure see mile 24 to 26, and they're all high fives and that kind of thing.
And truly, I think that's the gist of, in my humble opinion, of life. You find out what you want to do in life and what makes you happy, making other people happy, and then you win.
For him, it's more about the journey, family tradition, and sharing the respect with his kitchens. There's some kind of moral lesson in it all, I think. But when you reduce it down, it's just about love.
Thank you very much for having me, Kevin. It was great, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we were great time. We had a wonderful time breaking bread with you and making some pizza and sharing stories.
Cheers. This is a lobster tortulia, a peacemaker lobster in New Mexico. Food is love.